If you look at the Gen Xers around you, you'll notice a strange pattern. The qualities they're most praised for are almost always the same. Reliable, never complaining, keeping everything running smoothly. Then, look at their eyes. That exhaustion and those compliments come from almost exactly the same place. Today we're talking about a hard truth. The persistent burnout Gen X carries into middle age may not be a personal failure, but a sign that the social system is working exactly as intended. They weren't defeated by life. They simply played the role the system assigned them and played it too well. Here's what we're going to do. First, explain why this exhaustion has nothing to do with personal management skills. Second, break down how it was shaped by a social mechanism that started running in childhood. And third, give you a concrete tool to help you recognize when you're responding authentically and when you're running an old automatic compliance program. This exhaustion has a strange quality. It coexists with outward functionality. You still get the work done, take care of the family, and become the steadiest person in a crisis. But underneath, there's a constant drain-like background noise. Society tells them it's a midlife crisis, stress, something to fix with better self-care. But zoom out, and something strange emerges. The Gen Xers who are best at self-care, most independent, least likely to burden the system, are the most exhausted. Independence means relying less on external resources and internalizing more of the cost as personal responsibility rather than a systemic problem. The more you can carry, the more you're given to carry. This suggests the problem isn't personal mismanagement, it's that we've been perfectly shaped by an invisible set of rules. Those rules started in childhood. As latchkey kids, they learned emotional self-sufficiency. That wasn't just personal resilience, it was early training, training them to externalize and defer their own needs, and to internalize the system's demands as self-discipline. The logic learned in childhood didn't disappear with adulthood. It just changed stages. Sociologist Arlie Hochschild, in The Managed Heart, documented the mechanics of emotional discipline in the workplace. When a person is consistently required to manage their genuine emotions into expressions that meet external expectations, that management itself produces ongoing emotional depletion, and this toll is often mistaken for personal weakness rather than a structural cost. Your childhood was the earliest rehearsal for this conditioning. Then they entered the workforce, just as neoliberalism was hitting its stride. At the core of this philosophy, individuals are fully responsible for their own success or failure. Hard work and delayed gratification aren't just virtues, they're survival strategies the system demands. The more self-sufficient you are, the less collective support the system needs to provide. The more silently you absorb the pressure, the more stable the labor market stays. Here's the critical reversal. What we call resilience, from the system's perspective, is simply reliable predictability and low maintenance cost. Their exhaustion isn't a sign that the system is broken, it's a byproduct of the system running exactly as intended. Philosopher Byung-Chul writes in The Burnout Society that in an achievement-driven culture, people aren't exploited by others, they exploit themselves and call it freedom. Generation X is the living proof of that idea. In the name of freedom, they internalize the logic of exploitation and burned out from executing it perfectly. So where does recognition begin? Not in optimizing yourself harder, but in pausing at a familiar moment and noticing what's actually happening. When someone around you needs help and your first instinct is to push down your own exhaustion and respond immediately, how naturally does that suppression happen? How much of it comes from genuine willingness, and how much from an old program that fires without needing a reason? Researchers have noted that highly compliant individuals, when finally given permission to clearly say no, often don't feel relief. First, they feel a brief flash of anxiety or guilt. This means non-compliance itself has been internalized as a psychological threat. It's not that they can't say no, it's that they've been trained to feel guilty before they're allowed to. Language is the interface of the program. Being able to say, "I need 5 minutes" at a specific moment isn't about learning some new skill, it's about seeing, for the first time, the old program that's been running all along. Seeing it is a more honest starting point than changing it, because you can't change a mechanism you've never seen, and right now, you might be seeing it. True rebellion may not be a shout, it may be allowing yourself, in one small moment, to carry nothing at all. That moment might only last 5 minutes, but in those 5 minutes, you're no longer the reliable component the system needs. You're just a person who needs to rest. That distance between those two things is harder to cross than any external change. And more real than any external change too. Tell me in the comments. When was the last time you said no when you really should have? What was it about, and how did you feel?